All right, so there is a logical operator in SQL, which is null, which is what we have here. This allows you to check for null values. Null values means there's no value. So as you can see, here's an example. It says select star from food.fastfood where sanity rating is null. So what this means, this query means that you're getting all of the fast food restaurants where they do not have a sanity rating. For example, some restaurants would have a sanity rating of A or B or C, but then some of them are not rated yet, maybe because the restaurant's too new. So this is how you can get all those restaurants. This is just an example. Now you might ask, why will a value be null anyways? Well, a lot of the time when we collect data, it might not be perfect. We might not have all the information. For example, if you have a website that tracks user behaviors, some users might not have an account. Then maybe you'll get a null value for the user ID. Or, for example, if your website has some profile settings where you could set a field, birthday, for example, but the user didn't set their birthdays yet on your website, then it could be null for a very valid reason, right? Not everyone chooses to put a birthday value, so it might be null in your database. Another example would be just bad data, right? Sometimes logging didn't work properly because maybe the servers were down or something. And when you work for a large tech company, you'll have the weirdest values, null values, all kinds of outlier values, very weird values. Because you just have so much data, you're bound to get something weird. So you're going to have to work with a lot of null values or even data that is not clean. It's very possible. And it's basically your job as a data analyst and data scientist to work with the engineer to make sure that the data is as clean as possible, or at least that you know exactly how to filter out the data so that it's clean. Also, in the future, you'll learn about joins, and you'll see that we can get a lot of null values there when you join two tables because not every row has a match. And then when it's not a match, then you're not going to get any values. More about that in the future. But for now, let's look at an example of a table with null values and play with it. So here we have a table called tutorial Yammer users. In case you don't know what Yammer is, don't worry about it. Me neither. I think Yammer is actually a social media website for the workplace. Yeah, something like that. Let me Google it actually. So Yammer is a freemium enterprise social networking service used for private communication within organizations. It's kind of like Blind, I guess. Access to Yammer network is determined by users' internet domain so that individual with approved email addresses may join their respective networks. Okay, yeah, so it's kind of like a social media website, but for work. So let's look at this table right now. So as you can see, we get a bunch of users and they all have an ID and they all have a company ID. So as you can see, there could be multiple user IDs who have the same company ID, which means they work together, right? And then language, you could see what language you speak, I'm guessing, or which language they chose for their Yammer account. And then we also get activated at. As you can see, there are some rows where activated at is empty. So what if I want to return all users from Yammer that has activated at as null? And then once you do, why would you think that field is null? All right, let's try that. Where activated at is null. All right, let's run this. Aha. So as you can see, these are all null. Do you see anything in common with all of these users that have activated at as null? Their state is pending, which makes a lot of sense. It means they have the account, but they have not activated yet. So that means the state is pending. What about when it is activated? What does that look like? How would you check for accounts that are activated? Well, you can say is not null, right? We can use the word not to add in front of the null so that you can only get rows that are activated. So as you can see, there's a date now. And then the state would be active. Cool. All right, so that's pretty much it. Out of curiosity, I'm curious what kind of state they have. I'm going to use a operator or like a keyword that have not been taught yet, but you can Google it if you want. But now, okay, so there's only two state, active and pending. Okay, cool. So basically every user that has the state pending, they have not activated their accounts yet. And because they have not activated their accounts, their activated at field is null, and which is a very valid null, by the way. All right, so that is it for is null, and I'll see you in the next one.